Let truth arise, voices bold, faith alive, relevant words for such a time, empowered hearts, aligned in Christ.
Hello and welcome to Unmute the Mic, and we're completing our August theme from the silence to significance. And this episode is Name the Moment, Courage Before Confidence. Now, how long have you been saying, I'm almost ready? I'm almost ready to send that email, apply for that conference to be the keynote or launch that product or business, almost ready to have that conversation. Now, don't get me wrong, preparation matters, prayer matters, planning matters, but there comes a point when preparation has done its job. And if you keep waiting after that, preparation can become postponement. Sometimes you are not waiting for clarity, you are waiting for fear to disappear. And fear may not disappear first. Sometimes courage has to move before confidence catches up. So today we're going to be wrapping up our August series from silence to significance by talking about what it means to name the moment and move. So welcome to Unmute the Mic, where real conversations, we have them here and they matter. They matter because they're relevant, they're empowering, they're authentic, they're lasting, and they're legacy building. I'm Dr. Rita Reneé, and this month we have been moving from silence to significance. We started by recognizing where we were living on mute. And then we learned to own our stories. After that, we learned to word our value. And today, we finish up with the final step, name the moment. Because insight is powerful, but insight without action can become another hiding place. And Powerhouse, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, what does it mean to name the moment? Naming the moment means becoming honest about what this season is requiring from you. It means you stop saying someday, eventually, when I feel more confident. And you begin saying, this is the conversation I need to have. This is the opportunity I need to pursue. This is the decision I need to make. And naming the moment brings clarity to what fear prefers to keep vague. A vague dream can postpone forever. A named decision requires a response. Preparation and postponement, they're not the same thing. Preparation has a purpose. It helps you gather information, build skill, think through risk, and become more ready. But postponement, it keeps moving the finish line. Preparation says, I need to complete the proposal and review it. Postponement says, I'll send it when it feels perfect. Preparation, it can say, I need to practice. But postponement says, I need to keep practicing until I am no longer nervous. Preparation moves you towards the action. Postponement gives you another reason not to act. So ask yourself, what would tell me that I'm prepared enough to take the next step? Not perfectly prepared, prepared enough. If preparation never leads to participation, it may no longer be preparation. Preparation can look responsible. And this is important because sometimes perfectionism sounds responsible. You tell yourself you are being thorough. You tell yourself that I'm being careful, excellent. But excellence and perfectionism are not the same thing. Excellence says, I will prepare well and give the rest my best. Perfectionism says, if I can't guarantee the outcome, I should not begin. Excellence allows you to learn. Perfectionism tries to protect you from ever being seen or heard. But some lessons only happen after you step into the room. You can study speaking, you can eventually go ahead and speak and have a speech. But learning that business, eventually you have to make the offer. You can learn about boundaries, but eventually you have to communicate one. Perfection is not the admission price for purpose. You need to have the courage, and usually that comes before confidence. And many people think that they have to feel confident before they act, but often confidence grows after action. You take that step, you survive the discomfort, you learn, you adjust, and now you have the evidence that says, I can do hard things, I can recover, I can try again. Courage does not mean fear is absence. Courage means fear does not get the final vote. Confidence comes from the evidence that courage creates. And that is why you cannot wait for confidence to arrive and carry you. Sometimes courage has to go first. Now, there have been many moments in my life when I did not feel completely ready. Even now, doing this podcast, to be honest, new rooms, new stages, new levels of visibility, new opportunities, and I had to learn that readiness is not always a feeling. Sometimes readiness is a decision that says, I have prepared. I understand the responsibility. I know the next step, and I am willing to move enough through this, even though I'm still nervous. That doesn't mean being reckless. It means I stop treating nervousness as proof that I should stay still. There are moments when the opportunity will not wait for your emotions to catch up. And if I had waited to feel fearless, I would have missed rooms I was already prepared to enter in. For those of us who are women of faith, there's another layer to this conversation. And sometimes we say, I'm waiting on God. And there are absolutely seasons when waiting is wise. But sometimes we already know the next responsible step. We are just afraid to take it. And there are moments when another uh, prayer is given and it's not a substitute for the action that you already know to take. You just want to pray about it to delay it. But faith does not always remove uncertainty. Sometimes faith gives you the courage to move without controlling the entire outcome. You may not know how everything will turn out, but you may know enough to take the next step. And faith is not always standing still. Sometimes faith looks like movement. Movement does not have to be dramatic. Courage does not always look like a huge leap. And sometimes it is one clear move. You just send the email, state the boundary, submit the application, and that may be enough for today, but do not dismiss the small actions because it does not look dramatic. A small decision can change direction. One conversation can end years of assumptions. One yes can begin a new chapter. One no can protect your capacity. You don't have to change your whole life today. You don't have to stop ignoring the next clear step. Just name the moment exercise. I want you to try this because here is your final exercise for this August series. Complete these 4 steps. The moment I am in is name the season clearly. Then the decision I have been postponing is that's when you have to truly be honest. And then the fear underneath that delay is go ahead and name it. And finally, the next responsibility step is not the entire plan, just the next step. And then give it a deadline. Not soon, not when I have time. Give it a day, give it a time, because a deadline turns into intention, and that intention turns into a decision. So, for our final challenge in this series, I want you to make a 72-hour unmute move. You choose one action that is clear, responsible, within your control. Do not focus on the outcome, focus on the action. You cannot control whether someone says yes. That's a fact. But you can control whether you ask. You cannot control whether you are selected, but you can control whether you submit that application. You cannot control whether someone agrees with your boundary, but you can control whether or not you communicate it or not. Your courage is measured by your willingness to take the step, not by the ability to control what happens afterwards. When the answer is no, hey, just let me say this before we close. Don't make apologies about your answer when it's no. Because sometimes you take this courageous step and the answer is just no. It's just what it is. And that doesn't mean the step was wrong. A no can give you information. A no can redirect you. A no can show you where you need to adjust. And sometimes a no is simply a no. It is not a statement about your identity. Do not turn one closed door into a permanent conclusion about your worth. You can be disappointed and still move forward. Powerhouse, this month we have moved through a complete journey. We started with the cost of living on mute. We recognize the silence and then own it. The story, your story is not a liability. So we claim and reclaim our story and then word it. We say that what you mean is important and name your value. We strengthen the language. And now today, name the moment. Courage before confidence. We turn clarity into action. That is the journey. Recognize it, own it, word it, name it, and then move. This is what From Silence to Significance has been about. Not becoming louder, not becoming clearer, but there's nothing wrong with being clear. Not performing for confidence, building courage, not waiting for permission, taking responsibility for your voice that you already have. And now we are ready for what comes next. In September, an Unmute the Mic will expand beyond these solo conversations. I'll be welcoming guests with stories of wisdom, experience, lessons that deserve to be heard, but the heart of the podcast will remain the same. We will still have real conversations that are relevant, empowering, authentic, lasting, legacy building, and we are going to talk about what happens beyond the title, beyond the business, beyond the stage, behind the strength that we have. And we are going to ask the questions that help people move from silence to significance because everybody has a mic. The real question is, what will you do when it's time for you to take it? So, you don't need to feel completely fearless. You don't need every detail to figure it out. And you don't even need everyone to agree with you. All you need is clarity, wisdom, and courage. And then you need movement. The future cannot respond to a version of you that keeps refusing to show up. Name the moment, take the step, trust what you've learned, and then move. Powerhouse, do not leave this conversation only inspired, but also leave it changed. Take this lesson, name the moment, make a move, and then come off mute. Come out of the shadows, come off the sidelines, and show up in the rooms that need to hear your voice. Because guess what? The mic is open, your voice matters, and now it's time to unmute. See you next time. Bye bye.